Barry Myers with another edition of Pre-Flight Playbook here at the Vesper Tavern in Terminal C at Newark Airport. And we're venturing away a little bit from our football shows because we have one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history right here, Dwight "Doc" Gooden, a legend here in New York, and so happy you can join us today at Newark Airport, Dwight.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
It's great. So Dwight, in case anybody doesn't know, which is impossible, 194 wins, 112 losses, ERA of 3.51. More than half your victories came before the age of 25, which is amazing. Made his major league debut at the age of 19 in his second year, 24-4. This is 1985, 1.53, 16 complete games, which is probably more than there were in the entire major leagues this year, and 268 strikeouts, which is why they also called you Dr. K. So tell me, after watching the playoffs and the World Series and how the managers used their bullpens, and it seemed if a starting pitcher got within 10 or 15 pitches of 100, they started counting down till how soon before he's out of the game. That's not the game that you played.
Oh, it's totally different. The game's changed a lot. I'm still a fan of baseball, and I thought it was a great World Series. I was happy for the Nationals, always pulling for the underdog. And as you said, when I was playing during my time, and I'm sure before my time, there was no pitch count. You just go to you got in trouble, or you felt like the manager felt you was tired. Now with the analytics, everything's on the computer. Like I said, the pitch counts. A guy's pitching a great ball game, but he gets to 100 pitches, he's out of the game.
Yeah.
Or you're facing a lineup the third time around, he's out of the game. They're looking at different matchups. A lot of times, I think it's better during my time when Davey Johnson or Joe Torre just went with their gut, what they felt and what they've seen with their eyes. But now it's just too much with the computer, and the game's changed a lot.
So that was obviously before the days where you could look around at the scoreboard and see what your pitch count was. Did you have a running count in your head? Did you know, or was it just my arm is going to tell me when I've thrown too many, or I'm reaching my limit?
A lot of times your arm tell you. I understand, like at the beginning of the season, where they keep an eye on you because you're coming from Florida, most of the teams, or Arizona when the weather's hot. In April, it might be a little cool. So at that time, I think the pitch count matters, or maybe in September if it's a young guy. But normally throughout the season, if a guy that you normally gets out starts hitting you, it gets a little tough, or that particular day you just don't have it, where you can't locate, or maybe you can't get your breaking pitches over. The managers see that. As long as you're honest with your pitching coach, they make those changes. Outside of that, you just pitch till the game's over. Like when I took the mound, my goal was to pitch 9 innings. And that was what I like to do, whether I was 19 or whether I was 25, as you mentioned.
So I believe you and Darryl Strawberry are the only two players who've won a World Series with the Mets and the Yankees. Do you consider yourself a Met? Are you a Yankee? Are you a hybrid? What are you?
A lot of times I'm a New Yorker, but honestly, I always have fun. Like if I'm like in the Bronx doing some stuff, I'll say Yankee. If I'm in Queens, I'll say Mets. But to be honest with you, I'm a Met. I'm always going to be a Met at heart. Obviously, I appreciate what the Stein brothers did for me when they gave me an opportunity to continue my career in New York, which is something I always wanted to do for the fans here are just the greatest. So I appreciate that, but I'll always be a Met at heart.
So you came up to the majors, you were 19 years old. What do you remember? Was your first start in Houston? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay, that was good memory. What do you remember about that night? Were you nervous? Did you know, like, because of the success you had leading up to that point, come get me, I'm going to throw right past you? What was your mindset going into that?
That game was, if I can take you through that day, and this stuff you can't make up. So I'm opening, my first big league starts in Houston, as you mentioned. And the Mets were very kind. They fly my parents in to see my first game.
Nice.
And it's a night game. I've never been to Houston before, and obviously never been to the Astrodome. So I had lunch with my parents, at like about 1 o'clock. After that, I went back to my room, but it was so much anxiety, the nerves, just waiting for the go. And the clock wasn't moving. And so I remember going downstairs to the concierge and asking the guy, how far is the Astrodome? And he says about 3 miles. I said, can you give me a map to the Astrodome? He goes, why? I say, I just need a map to the Astrodome. So I actually walked to the ballpark because the bus was at 5 o'clock, but I couldn't wait. So this was like about 3 o'clock. Walking to the Astrodome. Now I get there. Never been there before. I don't know how to get in. So I climbed the fence, like an 8-foot fence. This is true stuff. So I climbed the fence, and as I climbed the fence, security guard's there. So security guard comes over. Hey, kid, what are you doing? I say, I'm pitching tonight. I'm Dwight Gooden.
Sure, I'm pitching.
Exactly. It's like, sure. So they're like, yeah, if you're pitching tonight, I own the team. So they call the cops. They call upstairs. The guy takes my license. He said, well, I did Dwight Gooden scheduled to pitch. So then the security walked me to the clubhouse, and our trainers were there. They get there before anybody, and they wanted to know what was I thinking about, what was I doing. I just said, well, pitch tonight, I didn't know how to get in, so I climbed the fence. I couldn't wait till the 5 o'clock bus, and now I'm warming up before the game, and Mel Stoudemire said, just pitch like you did during the spring training, you'll be fine. But obviously, I'm aware it's not a spring training game. I'm a year and a half removed from high school. My nerves are pounding. And once they said play ball, and the first hitter was Bill Doran, he actually did me a favor. He swung at the second pitch and hit a ground ball to second base. That kind of calmed me a little bit.
Sure.
I forget who the second hitter was, but I remember Dickie Thon was the third hitter. Got a strikeout. And once I struck him out for the third out, coming off the field, then I felt a little bit more at ease. And David Johnson let me go 5 innings, and he said, that's enough for tonight, kid. I ended up getting the win, so it was a good way to start.
Did you take the team bus back to the game, or did you walk?
I took the team bus back. I was exhausted, mentally exhausted than anything.
But that probably wasn't the last time you ever walked to a stadium, right? Because a lot of the hotels were more walking distance to it.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than that. Like
St. Louis.
Like St. Louis, you walk across the street. That wasn't
Right.
too bad. Was right there. I'm trying to think what else. Pittsburgh wasn't too bad. The old Riverfront Stadium wasn't too bad.
Right.
Montreal, we took the train. I'm trying to think what else was close by. I think that might have been it, just a couple there.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun.
Did you feel, when you pitched, did you like to get to the ballpark early, like you did for your first start, or were you kind of late arrival to lessen the time of sitting around?
Yeah, I listen to the time. National League, especially American League, I would say. National League with the Mets, I always took the bus, especially night games. I would take the bus. The bus would always leave at 5 o'clock. By the time you get to the park, get ready. You have like an hour and a half before the game. So you go out, you take BP, then you come back in. You got time to get your arms stretched up, listen to your favorite music, whatever that may be, and take your time to get going. It's funny, if you look back at my record when I first started, doing the day games, I struggled. And the reason was I would get up, 1 o'clock game, I'd get up, say 9 o'clock, I eat breakfast, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I head to the park. By the time I get to the park, you warm up and get loose, now you're on the mound. And hadn't had time to really get my body going a little bit. And we had a guy, Dr. Alan Lance, who's a team psychiatrist. He joined us, I think, in maybe 88, 89. He said, well, just get up like 2 hours earlier than you normally do. So I started getting up like 5, 6 in the morning, and then started my day. And so it made sense. And I started pitching a little bit better during the day, not much, but a little bit better. But with the Yankees, it was tougher with the pitcher, he doesn't hit.
Right.
So now you get to the park, you got all this time to kill. So a lot of times I go out, I would take shag in the outfield doing BP, just kind of get stuff going.
And you like to hit.
I love to hit.
Yeah.
I love to hit. That's what I miss about being in the American League. The pitchers don't get to hit. And you got to face the DH, who's a lot tougher than facing the opposing pitcher.
Doc, what was it like in 85 when you were basically unhittable? That's got to be such a, I don't know if it's like an out-of-body experience. You get on the mound and you just know they're just not going to hit you.
85 was amazing. 84, I remember at the All-Star game, I'll tell you the story. At the All-Star game in 84, Gary Carter's my catcher. And again, very nervous, 19 years old.
Yeah.
I'm in the same locker room with Nolan Ryan, Mike Schmidt, Dale Murphy, all these guys, and they're my childhood idols. A year and a half ago, I was in the backyard with my nephew, Gary Sheffield, pretending to be these guys. Now I'm on the same field. So I go out on the mound, I strike out the 3 guys, and Gary Carter goes, wouldn't this be nice to do every 5th day? And not knowing that come November, we traded for Gary. We traded my Little League teammate and high school teammate, Floyd Yeomans, in that deal.
Yeah, I know.
So it was kind of bittersweet because me and Floyd talked about playing together. So having Gary Carter on the team, I got 1 year under my belt with experience, all-star catcher, a lot of experience, and Gary played a big part of my 85 season. And to your question was, I'll say probably to the 5th or 6th game, that's when I felt like this is more than just a game. I mean, no disrespect to the opposing hitters, but I felt like every game was sold out when I pitched at home. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to win, but I wanted to get the 10 strikeouts. I wanted to pitch a shutout. It was more than a game. And so we scored a couple of runs early. Not that I was rooting to not score more runs, but I was okay if we didn't score any more runs. I just wanted to be out on the mound every chance I got. And as you mentioned, I wanted to complete the game. I didn't want to come out.
Right.
And Gary didn't care if it was 10-0 or 1-0. He wanted me to pitch like every game was 1-0. Every inning was totally dominated. It was just a fun year, and the preparation that Mel Stoudemire challenged me between starts to always have something to work on for that start. It was just a fun year, and it just felt like everything was right there, and Gary played a big part.
When you would go out there and at Shea Stadium, 55,000 people. The new ballpark is about 40,000. But you'd have 55,000 people. They'd be putting up in the K corner, counting your strikeouts. Did you just feel, I mean, did you just embrace the way the fans embraced you? I mean, did you feel the love? Did you feed off of that?
Oh, it was incredible. The energy that they brought to the stadium and the electricity you felt going through State Stadium at that time was, I mean, it's indescribable. And as you mentioned, the K corner, when I was playing, they always said, did you know how many Ks you had? I always said no, but once I retired, I can admit it now that I was always took a peep up there to see how many Ks I had, you know, because I said you wanted 10 Ks, and so if nobody was on base, you struck a guy out, and they passed the ball around. The third baseman was the last guy to throw the ball back to me. And the K corner was right over his head in left field corner. So before I get the ball, I would take a peek up there to see how many Ks it was, and then I get the ball back.
What was your career high in strikeouts? Do you remember?
16. I had back-to-back games, 16 strikeouts.
Back-to-back?
Yes.
Wow.
And the one game was my favorite. It was in San Francisco, and my two brothers, we had the same father, different moms. I hadn't seen them since I was a kid. They lived in San Jose, and so my dad said they'll come into the game. So he came to the game, and before the game we talked and said, my one brother, Danny goes, you gotta give me 16 strikeouts tonight. Not that I was going for 16, but I definitely was going for strikeouts and happened to get 16 that night. So that was one of my favorite games, just so my brother could see me play.
1986 had to be your favorite year in baseball.
Yes.
The team went over 100 games. Again, you were pretty much unhittable. And that team was filled with more characters than you can possibly imagine. Let's start off talking about that year. Did you have the feeling, I know there was a disappointment in 85, it was before the wild card and all that,
right.
So you guys didn't make the playoffs, even though you had a great team. Did you know going into the 86 season, this is going to be our year?
You know what, it's like you mentioned, we came so close to 85, won 98 games, they had to go home. And when the season ended, everybody said, it's okay, everybody just go home, do what you have to do, let's get ready for next year. And they come that close, we couldn't wait till spring training started. And I remember when spring training started, where we trained in St. Petersburg, normally you have the general manager say some words, the trainers will say some words, then the manager, David Johnson, go through the coaches. But David just came up, he goes, look guys, hope you guys had a great offseason. We have one goal, that's to win the World Series. Let's go out and get ready. So nobody's talking, that was our whole goal. And I give a lot of guys a lot of credit. Like you have Howard Johnson, Kevin Mitchell, Danny Heat, Kevin Esser, Dem Tuffle. These are guys that could have been starters on other teams. Mm-hmm. They put all the egos aside for one common goal. And our whole goal is to win the World Series. And the way that whole year went out, and I remember clinching in August. We had a free month. The season was over come September 1st.
Right.
So we're just preparing ourselves for the playoffs in the World Series. But tremendous guys, group of guys, fun group. When we went on the road, I mean, like say you had a 25-man roster. If we went to Chicago or where have you, you check in the hotel, everybody go up, you call your girlfriends, you call your wives, meet right downstairs, we'll all go out to eat as a team. Just a fun group of guys.
So it wasn't the 25 taxis for the 25 guys that you hear about when teams are not close. Well, they all go their separate ways.
Yeah, you go separate ways. And I experienced that later in my career. Not that the teams weren't close, but everything just changed where the chemistry was different. Our team 86, I mean, because a lot of us came up from the minors together. In 84, 85, we played together. And having Carter come over in 85, and then Ray Knight came in, I guess, the end of 84. Those guys played a huge part. I mean, just a fun group of guys.
You and we'll get to some more stuff with Darryl later, but you guys came up around the same time. It was always Doc and Darryl, Darryl and Doc. Did you appreciate how good he was as good at what he did as you were at what you did. He was just out there every day. But did you appreciate what an extraordinary talent he was?
Oh, without a doubt. I always tell people that I would say Darryl, for his talent-wise, the most athletic and talented guy I ever played with. The numbers might not have been the best of any player, but for his talent-wise, and when he wants to play, there was nobody better. And the things that he can do, not only, it was labeled as a home run hitter, but he hit home runs, he had clutch home runs, great outfield, he could speed, he steal bases, he knew the game, very talented guy. And we used to feed off each other. Like the day that I played, that I was pitching, I knew he was going to hit a home run most of the time. And it was funny, 1985, just from looking at tapes, it was in San Diego. I was going for my 20th win. He was going for the 20th home run. And he looked at me and goes, "Doc, I hope you get your 20th today because I'm going to get my 20th home run." And I got my 20th win. He got his 20th home run on the same day in San Diego in 1985. But a tremendous athlete, no doubt about it. Probably the best raw talent player I ever played with.
I know you guys had your ups and downs over the years, but when you look back on it now, Is he your favorite teammate? Is he in the top 5? How would you characterize of all the guys? You played with so many different guys.
Played with a lot of different guys. He was definitely by far my closest friend on both the Yankees and Mets. Like you said, we had our ups and downs. It was like a love-hate relationship. It's like your brother. We had grown so close where spring training, because I'm from Tampa, he'd come eat with me. I met his family, he knew my family. And one day I want to kill him, one day he want to kill me. But at the end of the day, we had each other's back. I mean, we've been through some of the same struggles that, you know, with addiction brings, but we always had each other's back. But today our relationship's great. I always tell people today our relationship's real, and what I say about that, when we was playing, we always had conversations. It was always over a drink. Hello. All right. Okay. It was always over a drink or, you know, out, you know, partying or what have you. But now we have a conversation that's real. He say some things I may not like, but I have to look at it and take it for what it's worth. And I think he meant well. Sometimes we probably went at each other wrong. I think about 3 years ago, we had this fight with each other in the papers, which is totally a character. We talked about it later that he said some things he probably shouldn't have. I said things I shouldn't have. We should have probably talked about it among just ourselves. Today, that's what we do. This last time I had my struggles, he came to my house. We talked about it, and that's what it's all about, you know.
It's probably because you care for each other so much that if one of you kind of veers off the tracks a little bit, the other one is trying to do all he can to get you straightened out.
That's fair.
That was probably out of love, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, 100%. It's definitely out of love. Like I say, when he had his troubles, you know, I was there for him. I sent him money when he was in prison or what have you. When I had my troubles, he was always there for me. He came to visit. Like I said, at the end of the day, we check on each other through text, we call, we hear each other's voice, make sure each other's doing well. When he was having his problems, I was pissed off at him because we know better. When I had my problems, he was pissed off at me. And I know better. So instead of just talking to each other about it and getting on each other, we have to. But at the end of the day, we're always going to love each other.
Tell me a little bit about that '86 team and how loose it was and maybe even crazy at times. I mean, that was a pretty wild team. You played hard and you guys partied hard.
Yes. It was a pretty wild team. It was a fun team, and you know, like you said, when we went on the road. That's the part I left out. When we went on the road, 25 of us went out to eat, and then 23 of us went out the rest of the night. 2 guys, probably Mookie Wilson and Gary Carley, called it in, but the rest of us went out tonight. And we did party hard, we drink hard, drug hard, played hard. We always had each other's back. We'd get on each other on bus rides or plane rides, but we was going to be there. And then other teams, there was no fraternizing. The Phillies, the Cardinals, Pirates, those were real rivalries. We actually hated those guys. And the thing that was taken away from that people don't talk about was the thing that there was a lot of knowledge on that team as well. On Sunday afternoons when we played at Shea, the day games, the traffic was so bad where you couldn't leave right away. So all of us sit in the clubhouse. Of course, we have beer, but we're talking baseball. Love baseball. Those guys love baseball. And it was a party time, but the thing was, the 80s was party time, but I think we got labeled because we was winning, was in New York, but we deserved it. I mean, we did party a lot, but bottom line, it's good to see those guys now from time to time at the stadium, run across those guys, and happy that everybody's doing well.
The World Series that year was probably one of the few times in that portion of your career that you didn't really pitch up to your standards. But the Mets were still able to win it. So were you able to enjoy winning the series, or were you disappointed in yourself because the 2 starts that you had were not typical Dwight Gooden starts?
A little bit of both. You know, the World Series, obviously, like the playoffs, I pitched great. I lost 1-0 to Mike Scott the first game. But then my second start, game 5, I went 10 innings, got a very decision against Nolan. And when I got to the World Series, those 2 starts was probably the worst time to have bad starts. I just basically ran out of gas. I had nothing left, and we ended up winning the World Series. So it was like, and I'm glad you brought that question up. When Jesse Russell got Marty Barrett out for the last out, Jim Rice was on deck. I was actually in the bullpen warming up, and David said if Jim Rice when he came up to hit, I was coming in.
Really?
So part of me, to be honest with you, it's the first time I've said this, part of me was hoping that I got that chance again to get in the game. But the other part was like, just want to end it right there.
Yeah.
So it was great. And I remember coming in the clubhouse after we celebrating Joe McAvane, who was I think it was the assistant general manager at the time, said, you know, you helped get us here. You might have didn't pitch, but you helped get us here. So it was good, but the World Series, you like to do well. But winning the World Series and with the guys that you came up with and coming so close to 85 was probably, from a team standpoint, the most joyous moment I ever had in my baseball career.
If there's one pitch that you can have back, is it the pitch to Mike Scioscia in the '88 playoffs, or is there another pitch you'd like to put back in the glove? And
that's definitely the one.
Yeah.
And you know, they talk about baseball being the game of inches. The pitch to Mike Scioscia, okay, Mike Scioscia's not known to hit home runs. I think he maybe had 4 or 5 home runs that year. Fastball was right there.
Let's just tell people that was in the '88 playoffs. You guys were up 2-1,
yes.
and this was the 9th inning, right?
9th inning, and I walked Shelby to lead off the 9th. We're up 4-2. Scioscia comes up, first pitch, he jumps on me, hits the home run. And what I mean by game of inches, he hits the home run, and then the no-hitter I had with the Yankees, we're up 2-0, it's 2 men on the 9th inning, 2 outs. I hang a curveball to Paul Sorrento, who's the home run hitter, he pops it up. So if I could redo it, I'd rather have Scioscia pop it up than Sorrento hit the home run. I mean, because that changed the whole series right there.
Because then you lost that game in the 12th inning, I think.
12th inning, yeah. And that changed the whole series. I mean, because we could have went up 3-1 right there.
There's got to be a lot of regrets about that was such a talented team, and you only won the 1 championship.
Right.
When that team was built to win 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, even though that's hard to do, maybe 2 or 3. I mean, there were more championships in that team that never got produced.
I mean, you could look at it 2 ways. Us as a player, I thought for sure this was going to happen like almost every year. I said, after '86, I figured '87, '88, we should win. Like I said, it didn't happen. And then the more and more you play, you realize that a lot of times not the best team that wins. It's the team that gets hot at the right time once it comes to the playoff World Series. Like the Nationals this year, they proved that.
Right.
Astros a better team. Or you look back at the Braves in the '90s. I mean, they won 14 consecutive divisions. They only got 1 World Series.
That's right.
So, with that said, it makes you feel a little bit better. But as a player, you look back at it and you say, yeah, but we still should have won more. I do feel like we had opportunities to win more. It just didn't happen. Like the pitch to Scioscia changed the series. I thought we should have gotten there to face Oakland. The Dodgers beat Oakland. I think Oakland was prepared mentally to play us, like we was prepared to play them. But you got to give the Dodgers credit for what they did as well.
Was it? You said before you always consider yourself a Met now.
Yeah.
Was it strange putting on the uniform of the other team in town?
Oh, that was different. You know, what's funny is like the Mets, for whatever reason, in '94, I think I suspended. They want to go a different way, and I understood that. But with me, I wanted to come back because I wanted to make it right with the fans. I didn't want to go that way. And so when I got the opportunity to come back to the Yankees, I felt like this is my opportunity, Ms. Summer, to give me enjoy. Even though with the Mets, I hated the Yankees. I mean, just because, not seriously hate them, but just because they're cross-town rivalry. And Summer said, yeah, we'll sign you. And some of the Yankees, I remember being in the clubhouse the first time with my Yankee uniform on. I must have been in the mirror for probably 30 minutes, fixing the hat, looking. I just couldn't see myself in the Yankee uniform. And it worked out well. Had a good time with the Yankees, and then winning the World Series there in '96 was great. And then in 2000, beating the Mets in the World Series as a Yankee, that was weird. That was very strange.
You didn't get to pitch in the 2000 series, did you?
No.
Okay.
I didn't pitch in 2000 series, but I got to pitch during the season. Remember they had the day-night doubleheader?
Oh, yeah,
the
sure.
day games at Shea.
You pitched the game at Shea, right?
I pitched the game at Shea. And so, in a way, that was my way of getting back at the Mets. Not personally, but from an inside, because I was hurt. The way it ended, and then I remember I called the Mets to come back. Steve Phillips, the general manager, he said, no, we're set, Doc. We wish you all the best. So I pitched the Yankees 96, 97. So after the 97 season, I was a free agent. I called the Mets, so I'd like to come back and pitch. Steve Phillips said, no, unfortunately, we're all set. I went to Cleveland in 98, 99. After 99, I called the Mets. Steve Phillips could come back. So fortunately, Doc, we have a team, can't do anything. I signed with Houston in 2000, pitched 1 game, got traded to Tampa, pitched 8 games, I got released. The Yankees signed me back. And before the Yankees signed me back, I called Steve Phillips again to say, I'll come, I'll go AAA, I'll do whatever. I just want to come back. He said, unfortunately, we wish you the best. And signed with the Yankees. San Francisco said, come pitch for me. If it don't work out, you can work for me. So I pitched like 2 games of rookie ball, and we had Billy Connors, who passed away, was there. The next day I come in, and he called me in the office. He goes, I'm thinking I'm getting ready to get released. He said, we need a pitcher in New York. That's all right. He said, they need a pitcher for the day-night doubleheader. They want you to pitch the day game at Shea. I couldn't say I'm not ready, but I figured I'm probably going to get, I'm going to get beat pretty good. But I get to go to Shea that one last time, which is all I wanted.
Yeah.
So I go up there to pitch the game. I'm warming up in the bullpen, and I can't get nothing. Stoudemire is my pitching coach, and he's telling me, Doc, stay back. Doc, try this. Doc, try that. Doc, try this. Finally, he wouldn't say anything because it wasn't working. And as I was going to the dugout to get ready, it's 4 or 5 relievers walking to the bullpen, where normally it's only 1 or 2 guys. But I'm sure Stoudemire called down and said, "You guys getting out here." So now,
That'll give you a lot of confidence.
Oh man! So now, we did visitors, so I'm getting 3 outs, so I'm getting ready to go out on the mound. And Joe Torre goes, "This was the worst." He goes, "Doc, give me whatever you got, 1 or 2, 3, whatever you got." Normally, you don't tell a starting pitcher, "Give me whatever you got, 1 or 2." It's all right. So when I got on the Shea Stadium mound, it felt like being at home again. Everything was right where I wanted. Curveball was right there, fastball right there. Ended up going 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, got the win, and then we beat them in the World Series. Then I retired. So I said that was a good time to go out right there.
That's a pretty neat story. Yeah. When you pitched that no-hitter in '96 against Seattle, tell me the story about your dad was having heart surgery, and you weren't able to get home in time to see him prior to the surgery, and then did he go into a coma after the surgery? Or?
That was tough. My dad was like, obviously my hero. He taught me the game of baseball, as well as my nephew Gary Sheffield. He used to come home every day after work and teach us about the game of baseball. So the day I was getting ready to pitch, that I pitched a no-hitter, the next day was my dad was going to have open heart surgery. And they thought because of his health, he had been on dialysis for 15 years, that he probably wouldn't make it through. And so I had my plane ticket scheduled to go home. And that morning I woke up, I said, he'll probably want me to pitch. He'll probably rather me pitch. So I called Joe Torre, who was the manager. I said, "I'm coming in to pitch." He said, "No, go home, be with your dad, take as much time you need and come back." I said, "No, I'll be in tonight to pitch." He said, "No, just be with your dad." I said, "No, I'm coming in to pitch." So then, after I hung with Joe, I called my mom, which she didn't take it as well. I guess we felt kind of guilty because I told her I wasn't coming home. She said, "You need to be home with your dad." And I said, "Mom, I'm going to pitch." She said, "Just come home, please come home, go back after that." So I ended up hanging the phone up with my mom because I felt so bad. Coming to the ballpark that whole day, I'm wondering if I made the right decision or not. My dad gonna pull it through. I called, tried to talk to him in the hospital. They said he's in no condition to talk right now. We're getting him ready for tomorrow. So the first 3 minutes of that game, I was standing between the dugout and the clubhouse in the tunnel right there, wondering if I made the right decision. Whatever sign Girardi put down, I just kind of went with it. Not until the 6th inning is when I realized I had a no-hitter. When I looked at the scoreboard to see who was coming up to hit, and you see no runs, no hits, no errors. I'm like, wow. So then your heart started beating a little faster. And plus, we're playing in Seattle. At that time, to me, had the best team in baseball. I was able to put my dad's situation aside, go out there and pitch. Ended up pitching a no-hitter. After the game was over, and the team is carrying me off the field, I'm thinking about, a previous year I was suspended from baseball. Earlier in that season, I started 0-3. I was thinking about releasing me or not. David Cohn got the aneurysm. So I got back to pitch. I'm back in New York pitching again. My dad can pull it through. All these different emotions going through me. Obviously, didn't get no sleep that night. So I fly home the next day, go to the hospital. My dad had the surgery. He was on life support at the time. The doctor said that he watched the game. He kind of cheered up. He ended up being the last game he saw me play. He ended up passing away shortly after that. But, you definitely talk about a higher power right there, because if you had thought I was going to pitch a no-hitter, it would have been with the Mets, not with the Yankees. But it was meant to be that night right there.
So by the time you got down there, you weren't able to see him?
No, I saw him, but...
He wasn't conscious?
No, he was on life support at that time. And then 3 days later, my mom decided that was it. But the last game he saw me pitch was that no-hitter.
That was a pretty nice gift to him, though.
Oh, man, that was like, yeah. And sometimes, even now, when I tell that story, I get choked up sometimes. Today, I got kind of was breathing to get through it, but it's still, so many years, it's like reliving that moment and going back to it, because I remember just like, as a kid, watching games with my dad. I got my juice and cookies, he got his beer and chips, and we're watching, back then there was only 1 game a week on Saturdays.
Yeah, right. That's right.
We're watching a game, and then we got the Braves game on TV because we lived in Tampa, and we're listening to games, and every now and then, when I got a little older, he'll quiz me, like, what would you throw here? Why would you throw this here? And all that stuff was going through my mind that day that I was going to pitch. And so it was great.
Just remind you, you're watching Pre-Flight Playbook. I'm Gary Myers. We're here at Vesper Tavern at Terminal C at Newark Airport, and my guest, again, is Dwight Gooden. who's getting a lot of attention here is people are walking from their flights and going to their flights.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping as you're watching this and you're sitting on one of the OTG iPads that you have a nice meal and some time to watch this, and then you have a great flight and you can hear what we're about to talk about. And
Sure.
obviously people are aware of some of the personal issues you've had
Yes.
over the last 30 years. Just tell me now, how are you doing now, and what are you doing to try to get things on the right track?
But things are a lot better now. First, I'd like to say I think everyone out there, from all the support I've gotten from my family, from the Mets organization, the Yankees organizations, the fans, just people around on Twitter, everything. The support's been overwhelming at times. I remember when it first happened, when I had the relapse, I was totally lost. I was totally down on myself. I had, for a moment, given up on myself. Not that I wanted to take my life or anything like that, but basically by doing drugs, it was a slow suicidal thing that I was doing, hurting my kids again, going through all that. And then I had one or two choices to make. I could either continue feeling the self-pity, the shame, the guilt, to continue using, or I could say, okay, that happened. I can't do anything to change what happened, but I can get back on the horse and get well. I did that. I called some people that I was very close with. I had to put the ego aside and understand that it was a sickness, that this disease came back that was to kill me. I had to put, like to say, everything aside and say, do I really want this? And so I met with a doctor, and he asked me, how bad do you want this? I say, I want to do whatever it takes to try to get it right just today, so I can feel better today, and I'll worry about tomorrow when it gets here. Ended up going to the psychiatric unit at Hike Psych Hospital for 9 days, changed my medication because I do suffer from mental health as well, to get my medicine back in track, because I had stopped taking my medicine prior to that, to get that stabilized. And once I got that stabilized, then I went to the treatment facility that I'm at now. This is my 14th week there. Today I feel probably better than I have in a long, long time. I feel good about myself. I love myself today. I have a great relationship with my kids again. And now it's about actions, because they've been through the thing so many times. So now I'm just trying to turn the mess that I made into a message. Continue talking to schools, kids, letting them know it's a better way. And at the same time, having therapy for myself, long term, because my track record's been, I'll do good for a year or two, then something happens. I just have to stay connected to my sober peers, my sponsor and things like that, to stay on the right track, and accept that this is a lifetime commitment, even though it's a day-to-day thing, but it's also a lifetime thing. And to stick it out this time and just love myself again, which I do today, and just continue this journey that I'm on.
So people who have followed you for all these years, if you want to be cynical about it and you say, well, you know, I've heard him say this before.
Yes.
And then it seems to be a cycle. Now everybody is rooting for you, obviously, but why are you confident that this time will be different?
I think right now, and you're right, and everyone has the right to feel that way. Even my kids, I have to build that trust again. I got to be accountable again. These things I have to do, and I understand that. And it's on their time to get the trust. I can't say, look at me now, I'm better, I'm fine, I'm back. No, I have to, it's actions, and that's on their time. I'm making no promises. I'm just gonna let my actions speak for myself this time. But at the same time, I still would carry the message in speaking, but I'm not gonna make any promises. Just watch my pattern the rest of the way, my journey.
Does it help you to talk about it, because in your own mind it kind of reinforces what you're trying to accomplish?
It definitely helps. Talking about it, and talking about what happened, talking about where I'm at, it definitely helps. It lets me remember that pain. I think somewhere I got comfortable and forgot about the pain that was there. And I let my guards down. I wanted to keep the lifestyle, but not use. It doesn't work that way, which I understand that. So now, just talking about it, constantly talking about it, and continue to talk about it, and accepting this is who I am, and this is, you know, being comfortable with who I am in my own skin. But at the same time, like my kids, my daughter, she's tough. She goes, Dad, is the program yet now? Is it working? What are you going to do different this time? How do you know you're not going to? I said, it's working. I don't know if I'm never going to use it again. I don't know. But today I'm not. That's all I have today.
When you go back to 1986, you were like 21 years old, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that when the temptation first set in with the cocaine? And I've heard you say, it was love at first sight.
Yes.
When the first time you used. Was that during that season, or?
I think it started like drinking in high school, smoking marijuana, and everything just escalated, to greater feelings. I had a lot of time on my hand, and I remember the first time was I went to buy marijuana, and my cousin didn't have it. Unfortunately, he had something else. I tried it, and I thought that was what I'd been missing. Unfortunately, not knowing at the time it was going to become a problem, and basically take away everything that I once had. My first family, my first marriage, my kids, divorced them because of the drugs. I mean, so many things that happened along the way because of that. I mean, it's a very powerful thing, and not that I ever took it lightly, but at the beginning, I didn't think it was a problem. I was in denial. The first treatment I went to in '87 was Smithers Institution, and I was basically just marking days down. The day I got out of treatment, I was drinking, and then it was just a matter of time before I went back to use it because I wasn't doing anything to help my sobriety. Wasn't going to any meetings, wasn't talking about it, didn't have a sponsor. So it was just like a premeditation that I had, pre-reservation that I had set up that eventually I was going to use again.
I've heard you say that maybe one of the biggest disappointments in your life is missing the parade in '86. What happened from the time that you left the clubhouse when the team was celebrating after Game 7 against Boston to the time you were supposed to, get to Shea to take the bus into the city for the parade? What happened?
That day, now that kept me sick for a long time because, as you know, your secrets, your secrets, your secrets. And that day, like when I did the book, remember, I went right into the parade because there was always people telling the story for me instead of me telling it. And what should have been the happiest day of my baseball career turned into the worst day of my baseball career within hours. What I mean by that, we win the World Series, I go in the bike, we celebrate in the clubhouse, I go in the back of the training room, I call my dad, we're celebrating on the phone, hang up, next call, go to a drug dealer. My intention was to go pick up drugs, meet my teammates at a bar. I get to his residence in the projects in Long Island, start using drugs with people that I had no idea who they were, but they became my best friends at that time. Using drugs, and then the clock is just spinning. So you're thinking, one more hour, I'll go. Now it's 5 o'clock, and the bus leaves at 8 o'clock from Shady, go to, down to the city hall. Now it's 6 o'clock. Now it's 7 o'clock. Now the sun's coming up. And I can only imagine what I looked like at that time. Now, no matter how much I was doing, you can't get high anymore because the guilt and the shame's there. And now the parade's on TV. That was the most embarrassing day of my life. That's the only day that I felt like, you just want to disappear. I don't want to say I want to kill myself that day, but I guess the nicest way to say I just want to disappear. I felt low as you could possibly feel. There was no way out of that, nothing to explain, because there was already rumors going around the league what I was doing. I still was in denial that I had a problem, but I ended up spending the day in the Long Island projects getting high with other addicts like myself instead of being with my team celebrating something that we set out to accomplish going back to February.
Were your teammates, were they worried about you that when you weren't there for the parade?
Yes, definitely. I remember Darryl saying later on that he came to my house ringing the doorbell, trying to get me to come. I wasn't there. When I finally made it home, I must have had, I don't know how many messages on my recorder, the house phone from my parents, Jay Horace, Frank Cashin, Darryl, other teammates. And it just that it went apart. And then even later that day, I remember Darryl ringing the doorbell and looking at the people, looking at him. I was so embarrassed and the guilt and the shame with myself that I wouldn't even open the door for Darryl. The worst time, even after the last time I went through that probably was the worst feeling I ever felt in my life. One of them, in the top, definitely.
Your career, you were definitely on a Hall of Fame track. There was no doubt. And when you look back on it now, do you think about, you're great for that period of time, but that it could have gone on so much longer and you'd have a plaque in Cooperstown now?
Oh, definitely. I'm glad you brought that up because, like to me, I look at the numbers and I say, I think there's still Hall of Fame numbers, but it's for other people to decide. But I think if the drugs weren't there, it wouldn't have been for nobody to decide. The numbers would have been there. I beat myself up with that all the time, and every time when somebody's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was like, because I would go down to Cooper, I would go there for autograph signing that weekend, but inside I'm hurting. I mean, I'm smiling to the fans, but inside I'm hurting what could have been. And this last time that I had the relapse, July 23rd, I was down there watching Mariano Rivera get inducted. That Sunday, I'm driving back, totally depressed, but I'm not calling anybody to tell them how I'm feeling. That night, relapse. Back to drugs, and the next morning I get pulled over. This last time, it was coming from Cooperstown. One way I thought I had got over that, I remember being incarcerated in 2006, I think it was, and in there you got nothing but time. And I got to play my whole life all over, the good and the bad. And I had forgiven myself, I thought, about not being in the Hall of Fame or what could have been. I said, well, as a kid, you only think about playing Major League Baseball. You don't think about no awards. You don't think about Hall of Fame. So I was able to make it to the Major Leagues, play 16 years. I won about every award a pitcher probably can win, made it to the Mets Hall of Fame. So I thought I'd forgive myself. But every year I go down to Cooperstown, it's there. It's there. It's there. And this last time it finally called me because I wasn't doing anything to talk about it or how I was really feeling inside. And it called up to me.
So if Cooperstown got you this year, like in that way that you then got yourself in trouble that night,
yeah.
What happens next year?
Next year I'll be there, but I think next year having people that understand, other people that's in my sober peer group that understands me, that I'm talking to sponsors, family that understand now that I talk about it, that go there with me. Because I enjoy being there. I enjoy taking my grandkids there. I enjoy seeing a lot of players that I played against or played with there. So it's fun. But then there's always that ride going home and what's really going on inside. So now I've been talking about it. At the treatment facility I'm in now, I've talked about that. So this time around next year, July comes, taking people with me that supports me. So I get that feeling because my problem always been, if things are great or bad, it's very dangerous. So I have to be careful with both.
You can see by the huge crowd right here.
Thank you, buddy.
Oh,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
You're still, obviously, there's so much love in an airport
Yes.
where you wouldn't necessarily expect it. You can just feel it here, all these people waiting to see you when we get done. I mean, you and Darryl should have been there together. You had a lot of the similar issues, I would say. And we talked about him a little bit earlier. Now that he seems to have overcome this problem, and it's been a while for him, and you're still battling it, but doing as well as maybe you have in a long time, is this something you talk about? Like, how have you been able to sustain, to Darryl, how have you been able to sustain this and resist any temptation?
We've had a conversation where, like I said, we get real. Like the last time he came over to my house, we talked about different things. Not necessarily how he's been saying, like, what is he doing today? How do he find, because what we talked about, what could have been. We used to always talk about what could have been, what we should have done. How have you been able to get over that hump? And he told me something that was very interesting. He said, we can't go back in time. We can't get that time back. But we get to live another day where people lost their life doing a lot less than we've done. And to share that message to someone, maybe we can't be, say, Hall of Fame baseball players, but we could be Hall of Fame dads. We could be Hall of Fame in what we do of helping somebody else fulfill their dream and they don't make the same mistakes we make. And he said that to me before I went to treatment, and that's been something that's always stuck right there. I said, I can't get that back, but have I totally forgiven myself? Not 100%, to be honest with you. I haven't gotten better to deal with it, but I can share my message with someone that hopefully they don't have to go down that path to be the best at whatever their dream is to be, and they don't have to make the mistakes I made.
I can tell by talking to you that baseball is still a big part of your life.
Oh, I love baseball, yes.
Would you like to get back into it, even if it's just going down to the Yankees or Mets spring training and imparting some of your wisdom on some of the young pitchers, and if you had that opportunity?
I'd love to do that. When I retired, I was living in Tampa, and I retired as a Yankee, even though I'm Met. I was working with the Yankees for 6 years, and I got to do that in spring training. I wish the Mets, and I always talked about the Mets should do that more. Like Franco goes down there for a little bit, I know, and Piazza goes down there. It was just great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think they should get more of the 86 guys involved. If it's just spring training, I think it's a great thing because not necessarily to copy the Yankees model, but I know when I was playing with the Yankees and working with the Yankees, where you had like, when I first was playing, you had like Yogi, you had Joe DiMaggio, you had Reggie, you had Goose, Guidry, all these guys down there. There's a big thing, not only for the players to ask questions, but also the fans about that stuff as well. And it's not taking away nothing from the coaches or the gym they have in place, but just more to help. And I'm always going to be Matt. And whatever I can do to help, whether it's someone on the field or off the field, I'm always available.
Do you think there's also a message that you can impart on some of the young guys of, look how my career started. I had more success than you can possibly imagine. I was 20, 22 years old, but I gave in to a weakness, and it threw me completely off course, but now I'm getting back to where I want to be, and here's how you can prevent it. Do you think, I mean, I would almost think that after you've been at this for a while and teams will know that, you know, that this is something that you can really stick with, that you'd be a really valuable resource for teams to have, bring you around the country and talk to their players about how to avoid these temptations.
Definitely, and that's what it's all about. And I think it would satisfy me more like giving back that way than saying this is how you throw a curveball,
right,
this is how you throw a fastball. I'd rather give a life message, and I got the experience. Sometimes your own experience is the best experience, whether it's good or bad. And saying this is what I went through, this is where I'm at now, this is what I should have done, this is what I'm doing now, this is what your opportunity to do, so you can continue to live your dream. I would love to do that.
The Yankee experience and the Met experience, and then you played with other teams that people probably don't even remember anymore, and the fact that you won a World Series with both teams, you always seemed to me the kind of guy that was going to only play with one team. I mean, you came up as a teenager with the Mets, and even though you didn't wind up with the Yankees in the way that maybe you wanted to, that it was your. Do you think that you're really in a unique position now, having experienced a lot of success with the Mets, pitching a no-hitter with the Yankees, that in a town that loves baseball, that you've really carved out a place for yourself, despite all the other issues, but just what you did on the field, that you've really created a legacy for yourself?
I think so. And I always say, like, and one of the things, not to blow smoke up my horn, because it's always uncomfortable talking about the good things you do on the field. You like for other people who do that. But at the same time, I'm like you said earlier, felt short making the Hall of Fame. But I look back at it, I say, it's probably guys that, and this is not going nobody in the Hall of Fame at all, but I'm sure there's pitchers that are in there that I've probably done more, or like to switch careers that we've had. And have an opportunity to play with both New York teams. I always consider myself a New Yorker. Won 3 World Series with the Mets and Yankees. And like you say, have a lot of success with the Mets coming up, and then a no-hitter with the Yankees. It was just meant to be that way. The fans in the Bronx and the fans of Queens, they both give me a lot of support, and they both treat me great. And a lot of people say, which fans are better? For me personally, it's really hard to say. I mean, I would love to say Mets fans, and it's probably the political correct thing to say, but I always say New York fans. Always was right there when they probably could have turned their back on me, but they always was there for me. And the legacy I think I've built in New York, like you said, having success with both teams, and coming back after being suspended in '95, and coming with the Yankees, starting 0-3, and then winning the World Series with the Yankees, my first year there, but the no-hitter, and the way it happened, and then against a team like Seattle, who had the best team in baseball, I thought at the time, for his offense, to do that. So I say the legacy's there, and based on what you tell me and what the fans tell me.
The last question about some of the personal stuff, were there games that you pitched it in your career that after you had done cocaine and you think back on it now, like, how did I perform that day, or did you draw the line that you never went on the field under any kind of influence?
No, I never did that. I never pitched high or any influence like that, but I would say that, did it play a part? Yes, I think it did, because for my off-season preparation, training and everything, I will slack off. I never pitched high, never got high, a day before. And it's crazy because as an addict, you always set limitations where, like you say, you pitch every 5th day. So the day that I pitch, either I was going to celebrate or I was going to need something to take away the sorrow from pitching back for his drinking. But I never used during that time. Each time I used during the season, besides 86, I always got suspended. So it's tough. But off-season training and I say the passion I have for the game, because the drug use kind of went away.
Well, I know that, as I mentioned this before, everybody is rooting for you. That, as you say, you can't erase the past, but you can control the future.
Yes.
And it seems by some of the things you're talking about, you're doing all the right things now,
Yeah.
and hopefully that'll continue.
I appreciate that.
And I really, really appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's Dwight Gooden.
Thank
He's
you.
got a great message. And I'm Gary Myers, and this is Pre-Flight Playbook from Newark Airport, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, buddy.
That was great.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you.
Really hope. Let's stay in touch.